Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Luigi here, and it's been 2 weeks since I was in Barcelona for the Mobile World Congress, and it was amazing to see all the tech that a lot of different companies, especially mainstream companies, were showcasing at this event. A lot of companies showcasing their foldable phones and flip phones, but this video in specific is going to be focusing on the Oppo Find N2 Flip and a little bit of a look into the Find N2 Foldable. So let's get right into it. So I've got two disclaimers to start with. First, this is my very first time playing with a flip phone or a foldable phone since they've become really available to the world. So I haven't really had a play around. I don't really have any friends that have a foldable phone. So this is my first time with a hands-on with a flip phone right now. And second of all, I've only had about 5 minutes of play around with these two phones since I was working there, so I wasn't able to actually handling them really well or play around with them really well, but I managed to get a good idea of them. The Oppo Find N2 Flip has some great features, really good built, and some really solid internals as well. So let's start with the price that this phone might retail for. In the UK, this phone will retail for about £849. In the US, it will retail around £1049, and in India, it's suspected to retail between 80,000 to 85,000 Indian rupees, which is a very competitive price compared to probably the closest competitor in the flip era, which is a Samsung Z Flip 4. This phone also has some great internals and some really good specs. It has 8 gigs of RAM, 250 gigabytes of storage. Inside you can find a 6.8-inch screen and 120 Hz of adaptive refresh rate with an aspect ratio of 2520 by 1080. Outside of the phone, it has a 3.6-inch display and 60 Hz of refresh rate and an aspect ratio of 720 by 382. Also with 4300 mAh battery and a 44 watt charging capacity. That also has the MediaTek Dimensity 9000 Plus chip. So this phone is really not short of internals and overall power capabilities, but let's get into probably my favorite parts, and is the overall design and look of this phone. The overall build of this phone is solid, at least to the little time that I had to play with. It just felt really good. It's very light actually, kind of similar lightness to the Pixel 6a, but it doesn't feel like it's going to break really easily. It has flat edges around the side, but the sides are not very sharp, which makes it comfortable to hold for a long period of time. Obviously the display inside is beautiful, and it's just kind of built really well. And then when it closes completely flat, so there's no gaps in between the screens or anywhere to be seen, so it's just completely flat, which is great. Let's start with the outside of this phone. So the outside, you have the 3.6-inch display, and then you have the 2-camera system with the partnership of Hasselblad. We'll get to those two in just a second. But the feel of the phone on the outside and the materials that it's built with, it feels just amazing. The texture feels great on the hands. It feels good to kind of hold for long periods of time, or I imagine it will feel great to hold for long periods of time. The one that you can see on video is the Astra Black version, which kind of feels like a grainy kind of feeling on your hands, like matte, but it feels just really comfortable to hold, and it doesn't really attract many fingerprints on the, at least on the case itself where the color is. But now let's go into the start of the show of this actual phone. It's the screen. When you open it, you get greeted by this beautiful 6.8-inch AMOLED flexible display, up to 120 Hz of refresh rate, which is absolutely beautiful. The colors pop, just everything looks beautiful. It gets plenty bright as well, and it feels really quick, at least to first impressions of the phone. Something that I'm really impressed about Oppo is pretty much the ability to eliminate the crease on the display when it's fully opened up. To the naked eye, and to my eye and to my thumbs, when you kind of scrolling with it, you cannot really feel the crease unless you're really looking for it. But apart from that, it's unbelievable how they managed to just make the crease pretty much become invisible. Unless you're really looking for it, you won't probably feel it as much as you think. and you can then not definitely see it unless you really look for it, or unless the screen is off, which is absolutely understandable to see the crease when your screen is off. But yes, if I had this phone, and if I own this phone, I will definitely enjoy a lot of gaming, especially with the refresh rate of up to 120 Hertz. So it has adaptive refresh rate to save battery, so from 1 Hertz all the way to 120 Hertz. And again, it gets plenty bright. I wouldn't think this will have any problems with it using it outside in direct sunlight. I've seen other videos of other people reviewing this phone, and they do seem to kind of be that the phone gets plenty bright to use outdoors. And because it's a foldable, I tried closer with one hand, which I found it fairly comfortable, fairly easy. But again, it was quite hard to open it with one hand, but I don't think you're meant to. But at least I tried, and I just wasn't successful. But again, I don't think you're meant to be trying to open it with one hand, but the hinges are pretty strong, and you can pretty much set them up into any angle you want. Obviously it has different features that you can use to either prop it up on a table, use it kind of like as a tripod to take pictures of yourself and stuff like that. So you can use it kind of like to prop the cameras up or down, or just to kind of play around with the different angles of the hinge. But I know it's strong enough that you can pretty much place it anywhere you want, whether it's fully closed, fully open, at 90 degrees, 65 degrees. So play around with that if you ever own this phone. But I'm pretty sure the hinge is really, really strong in all angles. That's definitely been one of the phones that has catch my attention in the foldable or flip world that's coming into kind of rapid pace at the moment. And I will definitely consider it heavily to daily drive this Oppo Find N2 Flip because of how good it looks, how big the outside screen is, and just how good it just feels on the hand. I will definitely be happy to daily drive one of those. But now let's get into the outer screen and the cameras. With the cameras, I didn't get to test any of them. I couldn't take any pictures. I'll see how the pictures look, but just quickly gloss over them. So obviously, like I previously said, you have two camera system outside with a partnership of Hasselblad that we've seen in Oppo phones, and obviously that was coming from OnePlus after Oppo bought OnePlus, I believe. So obviously that's now a partnership Oppo with Hasselblad in pretty much their flagship phones. So you have a 50 megapixel main camera and an 8 megapixel wide angle camera, which obviously you can use with the outer screen. So now let's talk about the outer screen. It's a 3.62-inch display, up to 60 Hz of refresh rate, with an aspect ratio of 720 by 382. With the outer screen, obviously it's much bigger than what we're used to with the C Flip, which is kind of just a little bar. So obviously you can see the outer screen to read your emails, check your notifications, access your settings, reply to messages with pre-written text, and obviously you can use it as well as a viewfinder to use your main camera to take selfies or videos or anything like that. The only problem that I've seen from different reviews and different videos about the outer screen is that you cannot use any third-party apps. So things like WhatsApp, Spotify, Google Maps, other note-taking apps as well. Those are still not kind of like capable of using the outer screen. So I'm not really sure if it's down to the third-party app developers or if it's more likely to be down to the Oppo developers, which I believe is more likely to be the Oppo developers not kind of opening up the outer screen to be used by third-party app developers, which I think it would be great if in the future you can buy it and you'll be able to use the outer screen for Spotify, Maps, note-taking apps and certain things like that you want to have quick access to. So hopefully that comes in the future. But that's all I've seen kind of from the little I've got to play and all the videos that I've watched around this phone is that the outer screen cannot use any third-party apps. So it's all kind of like primary apps that are installed with the phone, which is why you can only use like email, viewfinder for your camera application, and like notifications and settings. So that's probably some type of downside on when it comes to the outer screen. But it's still big enough that it can be usable, and hopefully becomes more and more usable with more updates, or we'll see what happens there as well. But I've really liked this phone, this Oppo Find N2 Flip. It's definitely made me consider of potentially getting my foldable or flip phone soon. And it's definitely made me consider this Oppo phone, and I'm really excited to see what Oppo does to the foldable and flip lineup in the upcoming months and upcoming years as well. But wait, also I managed to have a little bit of hands-on look as well with the Oppo Find N2 Foldable. And this is probably the perfect size for me in terms of design and how it looks when it comes to a foldable. The passport size of the Oppo Find N2 foldable is just perfect. It feels great on the hands, feels great to use with one hand with the outer screen. The outer screen feels completely like a really small phone, which it basically is, but then you still can open it and enjoy this massive screen for entertainment, note-taking, multitasking, and all those things. But I think this would be, when it comes to the world, which at the moment is only marketed and you can only buy it in China, but when the Oppo Find N2 foldable becomes available internationally, I think that's going to be a great thing for me, because I will spend a lot of money on that. But yes, I think the Oppo Find N2 foldable will be the perfect size foldable that I would want, and hopefully it becomes available internationally really soon. But being at NWC this past year, seeing every company showcase their cars, I managed to see rollables from Lenovo, either for laptops and for the smartphones, seeing electric drones, helicopter things, robots, dog robots. I managed to see the Lucid Air. I also managed to see concept motorbikes for electric vehicles, and all of these things have made me excited to, one, see how tech keeps evolving and growing over the next few years, decades, and lifetime. Two, it makes me excited to keep creating more content, because I saw a lot of people creating content there, and that helped me to, yeah, get me some inspiration for new tech coming up and keep creating different videos around tech. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just make sure to leave a comment below what will be something you want me to cover. But that is all for today. I'll see you guys on the very next one. See ya.